शोएब साहब आप मुझे क्यों देंगे?
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, Sat Shri Akal, Namaskar, Adab, and good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all on behalf of Creative Initiatives Community Canada, International Council of Arts Canada, Women Federation for World Peace Canada, Global Peace Seekers. I am thankful to my friend and our guest speaker, Sheriff Subway, MPP for Mississauga Erin Mills riding. Thank you so much for your presence and valuable time. I appreciate that. Our other guest speaker that I would like to thank is my friend, Dr. Moin Masood, neurologist and an author. Also, special thanks to International Council of Arts Canada, Women Federation for World Peace, and Global Peace Seekers to collaborate in such an important seminar to give honor to Women History Month and Women History Month with forward thinking of building harmonious society. And I lost my document. Okay, so I would also like to thank our friendship group members. They are wonderful people, they are very talented, and they are very giving services to creative field. And I really appreciate their dedicated and committed presence always in all these projects. Thank you so much. And we are looking forward that we will be able to do some more constructive projects together in future. And I will start with the mission of Creative Initiatives Community Canada, which is to enhance society's collective inner power through inspired optimism, peace, and creativity, and facilitate community-based social network and services which are inclusive and uplifting regardless of color, gender, creed, or religion. It's been more than a century when women started raising their voices for their rights. Many of us know those struggles of the women. Many still do not. Unfortunately, that includes women of some countries too. And still is many countries, women more importance on gender equality than men do. Since women have lived in the past and still living under the great discriminations towards them, everywhere, even though some of the countries' system offer them equal rights, women are less optimistic than men that women in their countries will achieve equality in the future, near future actually. And they are more likely to say men have better lives than women. In these regards, other than economics and workplace discriminations, the most challenging is male mindset in human society. However, more young men say they are embracing equality for everyone, but there is a catch. 2 new US studies found that while young men openly believe in progressive gender issues, such as using correct pronouns and equal work for equal pay, they still fall into traditional roles at home. Women will continue their struggle to achieve genuine rights for women, which actually are human rights, but we encourage to include the male voice more and more for not only the equal rights for women, but also for better, healthy, happy, and harmonious society. Today, we have invited male guest speakers to reflect on this topic and bring the light to this very important subject and need of our society, the society of harmony and peace. In the end, our group members will be able to ask questions to our speakers after the speeches. For that, you can raise your hand and you can ask questions one by one. Before I call upon my guest speakers, I would like to invite my wonderful friend, Mr. Shoaib Nasir, to say a few words. He's the President of International Council of Arts and General Secretary of CICC and a very good poet. I would also like to appreciate his dedicated volunteer work for art and Urdu literature. Shoaib Nasir.
Thank you very much, Uruji. It's great pleasure for me that today you invite me, and with our MPA, I'm welcome to Mr. Sharif, who gave us his valuable time to us and share us with their expertise about these genres, manner, balance, and harmony. And I also welcome all the participants who are join us on behalf of International Council of Arts. And I am very thankful to Arooj Rajpoot ji that you arrange such a wonderful event. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now I would like to invite my wonderful friend Lily Tedin to say a few words. She is the president of Women Federation for World Peace. She and her husband are very committed and dedicated for the cause to encourage women from all race, color, faith for their empowerment and peace. Lily Tedin. Please unmute your mic, Lily.
Of course. Thank you.
Hello, Stoyan.
All right. Hello. Hi, good afternoon, esteemed esteemed speakers and participants. This is really an honor to be here, especially the fact that March is Women's History Month, and that we are gathered here together to talk about women's rights, to talk about equality, to talk about the progress that has been made for, well, a good number of years, but not enough. So I'm very happy to be invited by Arooj to participate. Actually, it was a sudden impromptu question. What are you doing tomorrow, like today, this afternoon? I said, well, okay, my schedule is quite busy, but what do you have in mind? So anyway, I accepted the invitation and I'm very grateful. Thank you so much. Looking forward to hear everyone's comments or ideas, suggestions, and so on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lily. Now I would like to call upon our first guest speaker, Dr. Moin Masood, who is an author and a neurologist at the largest independent neuro hospital in Minneapolis, if I'm not wrong. I am really thankful for his time and participation in this seminar and to speak on very important topic, very important issue actually. Dr. Moin Masood.
First of all, thank you very much for having me here. I'm not any authority on the female lib thing, but I've got two strong women in my home, my daughter and my wife. And my mother was also is a strong lady. And I've always seen my dad respect her. And so respect for the ladies is a part of our household. And I think it's a very complicated issue in a way, but otherwise it's not really very complicated. The two genders are equal, and actually, and with the fact that actually the ladies are probably stronger than men in many ways, and the men only are stronger as far as the strength is concerned, the body weight and the mass of the muscles, because they're supposed to go in the good old days, they would go out and hunt while the females took care of the household. So this is just the social roles that they play because of their body habitus. And so that has just kept going down the centuries like that. And we just take it for granted that that's the way it should be. But if you look from a medical standpoint, and that's why you want me to say something about that, I've got other opinions beside medicine, but I'll stick to medicine, is that if I remember it correctly, this is a statistics from quite a while ago, and I may be up or down by 1 or 2 points, that for every 100 female conceptions, there are about 106 male fetuses conceived. So the male conception is more than the female. But at the time of birth, for every 100 female births, there are about 96 male births. So you can see that although the number of conceptions for male was more, but they tend to miscarry a lot more than the females. And then after about a year, for every 100 females, there are about 88 or 86, somewhere in there, male children left. So the infant mortality is also more in the males rather than the females. So from a medical standpoint, females are the stronger sex. They're the survivors. They have to be. They have to bear the burden of the family. So from a medical standpoint, again, the only thing that the female does not do well with is burning. So if they get burnt because of their body mass, surface area being more, they are far worse burnt than the males are. But apart from that, all other maladies, females do better at. They are survivors. So of course, I mean, they have to bear children, they have to raise children. So from a medical standpoint too, females are the strongest sex. If you take a look at from the brain standpoint, because I'm a neurologist, female matures much earlier than the males do. And if you have children, you would probably realize it also in your own household, that your daughters were much more mature than your boys were at that age. And female has to, because she has that role to play in her life cycle of being a mature person to bear a family. So I think from a medical standpoint and neurologically, and I think even from a evolution standpoint, females are the stronger sex than the males are. The only reason males are dominant is because of their brawn, their muscles, they're built. So the female is much more mature than the men are, and I think it reflects. I see that all the time. I can go on, but I'll let other people speak.
No. Go ahead. You had other point of view too. I don't want you to just kind of be focused on this. But
yeah, but the thing is that we see that in our society also, that the females. A simple example, that as the female has gone out into the workforce, she has to work and she has to rear the children. The single parents are usually females. Now they are doing much more work than a man would be doing. We men, we go and work, and we pat ourselves on the back that we are the bread earners, but that was old. In the new world, that's not the case. The female workforce is half of what of the whole workforce. So the females have come a long way, and I think, like I said, the only thing that they suffer from is because of their physical makeup. A male has a stronger muscles, and they tend to abuse, and so the female kind of goes into a situation where she has to take care of the family and try to keep the marriage going and the relationship going. Otherwise, females are probably the stronger sex.
So you see some future?
Well,
future, yeah.
I personally think that the girls and the ladies of this era are much different than the ones that my mother belonged to. And you can see, for example, in tennis, they are now being paid the same dollar amount as the males are. There was a time when the men players were being paid more, and now I think 2-3 years ago they switched that, and they are both being paid the same. So I think the females are coming up, and they are more vocal than they used to be, and things are changing. I have got my daughter is a prosecutor, and she is great. She's a strong woman. My wife is a psychiatrist. She's a very strong woman, and I like that because then you can have two-way talk. You can talk on the same grounds, on the same levels, rather than being somebody being subservient. That is old. That is not going to work anymore. Our kids are different than the previous world, and that times are gone.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Moin Masood, for your views on this topic. Thank you so much. And our next guest speaker is our MPP, Sheriff Subway, for Mississauga Erin Mills riding, who never disappointed us to take part to speak on important social issues. He's a professor and a politician, Mr. Sheriff Subway.
Thank you very much, Arooj, and thank you for including me in this discussion. And actually, when you called me yesterday, I sat in the evening to think about what I'm going to be saying today, and I want to divide my contribution into a few points. And it just like opening the discussion, I hope that people take those points home, think about especially both sides, I mean females and males. So I will talk first about the from government point of view. From my government point of view, we have been working hard to remove any barriers, be it any inequality, or any disadvantage for females over males in when it comes to jobs, positions, appointments, politics, and ministers, seats in the parliament, and everything else, to make sure that we are having enough representation for our 50% of the community, which is the females. And I think Doug talked, the premier Doug talked multiple times about that, and we have been keeping that in mind in discussions. And always when there is a discussion about new bills or legislations, we actually try to study the impact into the family, females, children, and everything else. So this is the aspect of the government point of view. So I don't see any, and if you see any inequality or any misjustice dealing with males or female versus male, females versus males, please bring it to my attention, and we can definitely raise the flag and see why it's that, or is there a good reason for this, or I mean anything related to the issue you are raising, we'll be more than happy to take home. My second point of view is actually the socioeconomics. I think it's very important for the females to make sure that they have their financial security, they have their own degrees, they have their own jobs, and that give a huge remove a huge aspect of the confrontation when it comes to inside the family. And like I would like to say that again, like when we talk about equality in jobs, equality in legislation, equality in government, equality in for workforce, equality in laws, that's definitely taken in consideration. But when it comes inside the family, I would say that this is, I consider that a private contract, and people have to read the contract well, because before they get into the contract, because things doesn't change easily, right? So the set mind of a male or a female is a lifetime thing. It's, I mean, it's take it or leave it. It's a contract. If you like the aspect or the terms of the contract, walk in the contract. If you don't like the terms of the contract, don't get into the contract. So I think that those points have to be discussed early in the relation before you get into a family. it's different between different cultures, different between different people, persons, even people, two men or two females from the same culture could have different opinions about things. They might have more tolerance to stuff. And again, like, I'm not talking about domestic violence or anything. I'm talking about just normal mechanics inside the family. It's part of the politics. If somebody accepts to be responsible for a specific responsibility, somebody else might not see that fits. So this is, again, the family part is not really the government focus, unless it affect the kids, or affect the family, or affect the safety, or affect anything of that. But again, within inside the family, it is a private contact, and you have to be very careful. And picking, I mean, couples have to be discussing all kind of aspects of that to understand exactly how both things, because that's a lifetime kind of thing. And the other aspect I would like to put in consideration, which tying that to the economical, socio-economical of the family. Again, if the family have one leg or two legs, two people are working, two people carrying the family, it's safety for the family before even safety for persons. It's safety for the family, because if God forbid, we lost one of the parents, the second parent is secured enough to carry on with the family and all the commitment of the kids and everything else. So that's part which we need to always keep an eye on it, to make sure that the families are secured and the families can financially survive if there's any bad circumstances. The last aspect of that is the community. So a lot of the reasoning behind a lot of the problems happen inequalities is because in different cultures, people expect different things from different male or female on the relation. So they consider, for example, some of the cultures consider that any activity from the female is part of the responsibility of her husband, or her parents, or her father, or her mother, whatever. So that's put indirectly a pressure on the family to pressure the female or the male to do things in different ways, because they consider themselves part of that, the impact of that decision. Again, this is like a community raising awareness, community growing, community change mind. People now have to consider, and I think I would say the majority of the people, even the old people, are now considering the male equal to the female, and they consider respecting the opinion of their daughter or their son-in-law, wife, daughter-in-law, daughter or daughter-in-law in taking decisions, specific decisions that might not be the case a while ago. So things are changing. It's development. It's and the whole community, the whole public opinion is changing with time, like anything else. Some ideas weren't accepted before, become now accepted. Some idea was not accepted before, now it's accepted. So things are changing. And again, like, I didn't comment on Dr. Moen physiological differences and stuff, because you are the expert of the subject. I wouldn't challenge you in that. I'm talking about the points which I feel I am involved with and I see day to day. So again, like, those are 3 or 4 topics I put in consideration to discussion: the impact or the effect of the community as a whole, culturally, on the behavior of the males and females within the family, outside the family, because that's very, very big part of the problem, because people will hold some of the family members accountable for other members' actions, which make automatic involvement from those members to impact or influence the opinion of this member, because at the end of the day are accountable for. And again, this is have to change the accountability. Every person is accountable to his own doings, and that's what I will close by. And again, if you know or feel there's inequality in any aspect of laws, job, bills, anything related to the government, please bring it to us, and I would love to work with you on it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, MPP Sharif Sabri, for your views on this very important topic. And I would like to ask people if anyone has any question, you can raise your hand and we can ask question to our speakers, Dr. Moin Masood or MPP Sharif Sabri. So I can't see the gallery. Let me see the gallery if somebody is raising. Okay, so if anybody has a question, please you can raise your hand, or Shahid Bhai usually ask questions, so
Yeah, but because I was involved very late into it, so I didn't prepare myself, and I
okay.
think these guys are covering more than enough. It's okay. I rather stay quiet. That's fine. Thank you.
Okay, so Stoyan, do you have any question? I would want to male involvement, more involvement.
Well,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, why not?
Okay. It wouldn't be a question, maybe a comment. I would definitely agree with Dr. Moen about the strength of women. And there's reason why we are stronger than men, not necessarily physically, but I think there's stronger resilience because whoever gave us this, whether you want to come and say it came from above, but women are definitely stronger in a sense that they persevere even in most challenging times. They don't give up. When they're sick, women keep going and giving themselves, right? More and more to their family or outside and so on. So this would be my comment on that. And I definitely agree with Dr. Moen on that. So we need to continue with that strength in many other areas to achieve this very issue of how to engage men to embrace equality. Yeah.
Yeah, myself, I'm really not a fan of the word equality because I don't think that's the objective at all. I came to the conclusion that both heaven and hell are a place of no fairness. The only difference is that in hell, you're below fair. In heaven, you're above fair. So the question is, how unfair can you be in a heavenly sense? You see, we have people who can't bring heaven down to earth. Most of us bring hell down to earth because we demand justice, we want equality, we want this, rather than demanding more from ourselves. So I think that this is an issue. You speak about the strength issue here. I heard that the double X chromosome that women have actually gives them longevity superior to men, simply because with the double X makeup, you can recover, you can prolong the copy of the DNA longer because you have one added original that stays in place. So that was an interesting discovery for me. But when people told me I was strong, Arooj, I started to wear deodorant. That was my conclusion.
We're always
Actually,
on it.
actually, after listening the Lily's comment, I thought I was going to stay quiet, but I would like to
Please.
agree with her. Definitely. 100%. The man is the one. The women, no if and but about it, women are the most strongest person in the earth. But without men, it's difficult for them to get recognized. And especially in this way, I would just make my comment that our Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is doing a great job of bringing the equality in the House of Commons, and that shows that women's participations are very strong.
Thank you so much, Shahid Hashmi Bhai. Or I wanted to comment on that too. That in 2015, like when we talk about government here in Canada, I always say that we are lucky that what we actually chose as our home to make some. I mean, to have some country for as our home, that is Canada, and. Still, I guess it's much better than all other countries. But as he made made a point to make 50-50 government and all that, and I see that it's coming. It will be more better. But then again, there is a mindset, cultural mindset, and that our society has been living for, I don't know, centuries. We still find it here, and I have to come back for this question to Dr. Masood afterward for this cultural mindset, even living in the West. But I want to ask our MPP, as you said that we are seeing.
Before you go for my apology, you said the government. No, it's only federal government is bringing the equal opportunities, not the provincials. I just wanted to make that clear.
Thank you. So when I want to ask our MPP, as you said that change is coming. So things are changing. But when we speak about like that even mindset here or things, the way it's changing, the speed of the change is very slow. So if you say that change is coming, I know from male perspective, yes, change is coming. But from women perspective, we hardly see that things are moving because there are so many things that even though you are the strongest woman in that kind of community or something, you still face so many obstacles, which I am sure that women will agree, but men don't face. I'm not talking about individuals as like some men do face some kind of discrimination or something else, but as a gender. So with this speed of change, what do you think, because you are here as a politician, so just talk about as we see here, what do you think this change, this speed of change, what do you see that how long it will take to be kind of just have the basic human rights as a human, not as a woman or as a man?
I don't understand exactly when you're referring to change, like what's your request? Like what do you think or what do you interpret as change?
I mean, as you said, that change, that you see change is coming, like women is having more rights, or women are having equal rights, what we say. But as a human, as a person, as a full human being, as man has been living since forever, what do you think? How long it can take with this speed?
That's again, like you didn't answer my question. I'm saying, okay, what is the line? Where is the line you consider if we pass that line, we achieve that? Like, this is not like a black and white thing. It's not like a law, like ending the slavery law thing. It's a change in the state mind of the people.
Mr. Sharif, sorry to interfere. Mr. Sharif, sorry to interfere. All she is asking, why women are not getting equal opportunity. Very simple. I understood her question. Very simple. She's asking why women are still have a hurdle. That's what she's asking.
Like, is the hurdle, that's what I already said that earlier. Like, is the hurdle by law, like something saying only male can apply for that? There is any like saying if you are a female, you will get X amount. If you are female, you will get X amount. I don't think there's anything in the law to prevent that.
The answer to that question, male have to be more educated and accept that women.
100%. Like, that's what I'm saying. Education and raising awareness is a community thing. It's not a law thing. It's a community. We need to invest.
Be more acceptable. They have to control their ego. The men, without men is very difficult to bring. See, the person in Canada, it came out when the men recognized women. That's where they put the first vote, cast a vote. So, but the population of those men are much less than where they're supposed to be. If we all say, my first job when I had after I finished my school, I in Greenwood Medicine, I was delighted to have her as my supervisor because I had the training from home. Respect women. So the point is,
okay,
we men need to be more educated that women have very equal or more rights. That's what
nobody have more rights. When you talk about equality, we talk about equality. You can't say now like like equal or plus. Like there's no plus. There's equal. There's equality. There is no nothing in the bills or in the workforce or in the job law, on the work law, or any compensation of any sort saying job, if the job is male is that, if it's a female is this, or like there's nothing like that. Whoever do the job get the job. Now the people, the men set mind need to change. That's exactly what I talked about. This is the community. This is the raising awareness. This is the education. This is like everything is based on our media, our education system, our raising awareness, the programs which we are putting together to raise awareness, to protect women, to help women, and to kickstart their new careers, or sometimes they have some positive discrimination, like positive I would say positive.
Government responsible.
Shoaib, let him finish first. Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Sharif. Go ahead.
Like all these programs we put, I'm not sure where Mr. Shahid is coming from, but he's keep talking about the men. The men is a community. This is a public opinion. The whole male / female opinion in putting things in prospect. And again, like you can see now that lots of things have been changing. A lot of programs have been put in place to help women who are into having some troubles with either like economically or family relations or counseling or legal advice or whatever it is, to help the women to acquire their rights, equality rights, and their children rights when it comes to men who's not want to support their kids or support their families or whatever it is, all kind of family issues. There's more emphasis on that because the family is the building block of the community. If we can focus on the family and make sure that the families are doing good, the whole community will be doing good. And again, like you are talking about the men who do not respect, they don't respect the equality of women. Those are not men today. They have been kids 20, 30 years ago, and they have been grown on that, have been raised on this. So they have been living in a specific environment or under specific parental directioning or guidelines, which ended up to build in and implant that inside them. It's not a government thing. It's not going to be a law, but still we do the law to protect the rights, meaning all what you hear now about the domestic violence, women trafficking, and all kind of this laws to protect the females when there is a crossing lines. But when I talk about a husband who does not respect his wife because of his background or because how he was raised, there's no law in that. Like I can't fix that by law. Okay, I can fix if he crossed the line. We need to protect the wife. But if he didn't cross the line, this is.
I have the question to ask. Allow me when you're done, because I will bring some example what we're talking about.
Okay, so
Mr. Shahid, go ahead.
Okay, let me tell you where you're coming to mostly trying to solve this more in a political way, but I'll give you a practical example in the working force where we need government to help. Women have some biological things where more, especially the small firms are think of hiring because they have some extra days off monthly. They get pregnant, they will go off for 1 year. It's difficult to train somebody in a small firm. I'm talking about a small firm, even though my firm is very small, but I have full respect and make sure the lady gets whatever the time off she gets, whether I can afford it, I cannot afford. This is where government need to come in and help those small employer hire this woman. They have their rights to have the kids. They have their right to have this biological changes of the men and women. Okay, this is where the small employer get a little bit reluctant because they can't afford it. Black and white, they're not doing. The men are not being discriminative or anything. They just can't afford it. after spending 1 year of the training, the next year she takes, or after 2 years, she takes 1 year EI off because of the maternity leave. Where do we go? This is what I was talking about.
Okay, so I tell you how that was fixed. Like that's actually fixed long time ago. When I get my first professional job in Canada 25 years ago in HSBC Bank, we had 4 females and 2 males in the department. Okay, so it was first of all, the parental leave now is male and female. I can apply even if I'm not the mother, I'm the father. I can take 1 year parental leave, and I know lots of my friends applied for it. Okay, so that's equality. Like if it's a male or a female, he is eligible or she is eligible to take 1 year off for parental leave. So it's not advantage because any employer can have a male who's applying to take the time off, very similar to the female. So he can't guarantee that. It's not guaranteed. Now, talking about some days off in the month, there is in the law, there is some sick leave days, which is there already. Now, the small employers, you are talking about the small employers who cannot afford giving that time off. I understand that. But what do you want the government to do about that? Like force them to do it? They are not going to stop hiring females. If you force it saying every female will take this amount of X amount extra sick days in the week, then in the month, sorry, then the employers, it will be negatively impacting the females hiring because you'll say, okay, so I have to cover for 3 days a month or 4 days a month, where I'm going to cover that from. So it's better to hire men. So it's a balance. There is a balance there where we need to work out something. And again, like females, meaning my mom, my sister, my daughter. So it's not one side of things. It's every family's issue, like again.
Thank you so much, MPPs, Sheriff Sabri. And I want to ask a question to Dr. Moin Masood. He has explained about that from the perspective as a medical expert. But I would want you to reflect on a little bit on this area, that mindset of male from Pakistani background or South Asian background while living in those countries, or even living in West here in Canada or America. So what do you see, what kind of, how do you want to interpret that mindset and how it's kind of help or interrupting for equal rights?
Thank you for asking the question. Napoleon said, give me a good mother and I'll give you a good nation. So our kids, their first schooling is at home. So I don't want to, tell you something, be personal about it, but my father would not start his lunch or dinner until my mother sat on the table and she took first. He never told us that this is the way to do it, but we saw. So it's the home where the mindset starts from. It's not in the school, it's not in the community. And I think that our culture, I'm just talking about Pakistan and India, I'm not talking about other cultures. In that culture, the male child is superior than the female child. You can see that when a male child is born, there's much more happiness than a female child is born. Maybe it is because of social security, because the parents think that the male child is going to take care of them, while the female is going to get married and go away. So that male child is treated like a king. And of course, when you treat somebody like a king, then he behaves like a king and starts to develop a personality disorder, that he is superior to the female counterpart. And as you grow, then that mindset goes with you. Doesn't matter where you are, which country you are in, that mindset is with you all the time. And I personally think that, of course, you and I don't have the power to change that upbringing, but I think as a community, we should try to educate these females and make them economically strong. If you are economically strong, then you are it. Nobody can do anything about it. The man, doesn't matter how strong he is physically, if the female is economically strong and has a good job, the male will not do anything. I have seen people in my community where the female and the male both are working and their interaction with each other is different than the couple where the man is working and the female is just a housewife. Just a housewife, although I say just a housewife is a lot of work. You know, taking care of the kids, the household, it's a lot of work. And they don't get weekends. I get a weekend because I work outside, so I come home and Saturday, Sunday, I meet my weekend, but my wife doesn't have a weekend. She has every day she's working. So it's the mindset is made as we grow up, and economic independence is the key, I personally think. If you're economically strong, the female is economically strong, the male would not dare do anything. That's my opinion about it.
So, like, you have actually made a point as a key point to be economically strong is a like kind of first step towards.
Absolutely.
Okay, what do you think, MPP Sheriff Sabri, about this point that being economically strong can make a change?
That's exactly the point I raised when I talked about social economical sustainability. So again, like I seen lots of examples where the females were oppressed or they are not getting the right dealing, but they have to get going because they know that they can't walk out of that relation because end of the day, they can't feed their kids or they can't depend on themselves. They are not then dependent. And I'm not going to go even into this confrontation situation or challenging situation. I'm talking about even regular life. Like if the main income of the family is this husband and then something happened, then this family will have stressed out for many years because now the main person who's carrying or sustaining this family is not there anymore. So again, like the social economical aspect of that is very important. And again, like if she is dependent, she can have sustainability. She definitely in a better negotiating position than if she's full dependent on her husband. So that's is part of the point I raised earlier, the social economical aspect of the relation. It's actually helped the female to be independent, to be voicing her voice, to be even if she's dependent, she don't have the stress from the families that she have to get married because we don't know who's going to help you later on when we are not available or the parents are older or whatever. She have her own economical independence, which she can decide for herself who and when she would like to get into a marriage or relation.
Thank you very much. Anyone else has
Dr. Arooj, Dr. Moin Saab and MPP Sharif Saab, we are very appreciate to you. You are coming in our program and you are very good explain in your words. Thankful to you. Thankful to you. Thank you.
Yes, Lily, you wanted to ask something?
Yes, I want to ask one thing, Arooj, when you're ready.
Yeah, sure. After Lily, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I basically just want to kind of summarize 3 points that are necessary, I think, to solve this issue. What's really important is interdependence. We have to encourage that very much, whether male or female. And I would say when Arooj was asking about, you know, how soon will we see more women? Well, I'm looking at also the idea or understanding, we're talking about capability. If you're going to put somebody in a position because she is a woman, I'm a woman, okay, but if I'm not capable, why should I be there? On the other hand, this is a question, why did North American government Why did it take so long to come to that realization, to increase the bar and to bring women in the political position or economic, doesn't matter, to be whatever position, director, CEO, and so on. When I look many times attending the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women and looking at the statistics, let's see, in Rwanda, we know that Rwanda went through genocide and so on, but at this point in Rwanda, 65% in the government position or any position are women. How did that happen? Right? So, okay, I'll go back to the second point. First is, as I mentioned, interdependence. Second point, I would say mutual prosperity. And that's what you just shared about how important it is that we develop this economic stability. Because if you don't have economic stability in the family, starting with the family, it's like also not having peace that starts in the family. So even this mutual prosperity, it does start in the family. It gives more strength and inspiration and love, harmony, and so on. And I would also emphasize that the third point, which is universal values, something that is also very necessary. So I'll just leave you with that because, you know, what comments that went through, I just felt this is so necessary that we really focus on that and made those changes. And I'm sure that there'll be more progress, and we'll definitely achieve that by embracing each other's value and ability.
Arooj, can I add something?
Yes, please. I will.
So again, from talking about politics and getting more women in politics, I think there is now a huge encouragement for women to involve in politics. And as I mentioned, like again, getting involved in politics generally was not a very easy thing for a lot of minorities. For example, not only women, minorities, small numbers, colored people, like many of the people who might pursue some political career were having some issues to get into this because of the nature of the political fighting and slandering and repetition and attacks and media. There's many aspects, many factors in it. Even lots of men, not I'm saying not women, very small number of men would go into a fight like that. It's like it's a street fight, it's a dog fight. So not lots of people would like to get into this. So again, like with all the different political parties allowing women empowerment mechanisms and committees and encouraging women, sometimes trying to give some reference for females in some ridings to be able to get elected. I mean, get nominated then elected. I think that's helping. They're helping so much to get more women in politics. But it's not only politics. Like look at, like when I was start working in IT, there was a big complaint about IT is a male profession. Like there's not enough females in the profession, right? Why? Because it was the conditions of the work was difficult. Maybe the number of hours to put in there is difficult. Maybe the fact that you're on call. So I mean, if you have to leave at 2 o'clock in the morning to fix something, maybe it's not good for like a woman which have 2 kids at home. She can't leave to go to get to answer the page or whatever. The discouraging factors in getting more females into this industry. But things are changing now. Lots of work can be done from home. Lots of things can be done remotely. So that's changing by itself. So again, as I mentioned, there is a change not only in the public opinions and the way even the men in general, the men in mass numbers accepting or disaccepting change. There is a more integration from many cultures in the Canadian fabric, which bring them to the bar of the standards in Canada. Maybe this is not the standards where they came from, but they came to realization that we are now in a different country, in a different culture, and become what was not acceptable yesterday. Either they accepted or have to accept it. Maybe some of them might have to accept stuff which they can't accept or they didn't accept, but they have to accept. But that's generally helping and changing on the longer term. That's why I'm saying it's time, because on the longer term, now the new generation who came in this country with this new standards learned the right way of dealing with those situations. So this is my two aspects related to Lily's comments in regards to having females in the job and the changes which comes in the family. Because when it comes to the family, it will come in the local community, and it will come in the bigger community, it will become coming in Canada. So
thank you very much. And Shoaib, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I just want to say, first of all, Lily, your concern and your questions and your explanation is excellent. I don't want to go there. I just want to briefly, Dr. Saab, you're very right that it's a set mind and it comes from home. But when we were talking about economical strength, my mother never worked, but she was very strong economically. Again, I'm getting your point. You're very right. It comes from home. My wife never worked, but she is the more stronger than me economically. Literally, this is all you learn from home. You don't have to work to become economically strong. Again, it's your atmosphere, how you feel it. Like I give you two examples. My daughter works, but she's not economically satisfied because she did more and more and more. All I'm saying is you're right. It's home, set mind, and it comes from home. And my mother never worked, and she was very strong, very, very strong economically.
Yes, but you're right, absolutely, Shoaib, that it comes from home, and that's absolutely true. But nowadays, with the children moving out of the house so much earlier than they used to, I moved out of my house after I got married and I had a child, and that was our nuclear system in Pakistan, that we stayed with our parents. But now in the West, that's not so. The child is 18 years old and is out, and they have to fend for themselves. So economically strong, what I meant is that, of course, you, mashallah, are a good human being and your wife is economically strong, but our children, this is a new world. It's not the same world that we came from. They have to move out and they have to fend for themselves. They have to study, they have to make their careers. And the same society that we left is not present in Canada or England or United States. So they have to have good education, they have to have good jobs, and have a strong economic status so that they cannot be abused.
Dr. No if and but about it. Education is very important. And my mother was in Pakistan 70 years ago. No if and but about it. All my sisters and myself, we all done our education after we got married. So education is a key point to be success, to open the mind. There's no even but about it.
Thank you so much. And before we finish this conversation, I would want if MPP Shoaib Nasir want to have final remark, or Dr. Moin Masood wants to give his final remark.
I just what I would like to say is
sorry.
What I would like to say is again, it's dynamic. The situation of the females and any social aspect of the society is a dynamic thing. It keeps changing, and we have to continue working towards betterment of the conditions, betterment of enhancements of the protections, the social protections, enhancement of the equality, the fairness, the justice, the family values, and all of this aspect at the end of the day, but improve not only the female condition, but the whole community as a whole. We be better community, we be better integrated, we be better suitable to sustain issues like COVID. I think one of the aspects of COVID which nobody start talking about is how the COVID impacted our social fabric, how COVID impacted our family structure, positive or negative. Some families gain positive of the COVID, being all of a sudden they start spending more time together, start doing more activity together, and discover that they missed a lot in the other years. When there's other families who got really suffered because of the COVID, and even the very tiny connections were there become in a very jeopardy and a big bad condition, need some attention to maintain and to get going further. So again, like the COVID is gonna impact will be on the family, on the social aspect of the community and the society for many years to come. We'll discover, we'll see more anomalies, positive and negative. So again, like it's very important to have those discussions, raise the flags, discuss with the people who are in charge or in a position to bring your ideas, bring your voice, like me and my colleagues, not only me, our MPPs, our MPs, our even municipals, because we have lots of activities towards families in the level of municipality, level of the city of Mississauga or Peel region, housing, family support, food bank, all kind of social activities which can help maintaining the pride and the integrity of the family and the females members of the family specifically. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you so much. Yes, Dr. Moin Masood.
Thank you very much for having me here, and thank you for all the participants and Mr. Sheriff Sabbai. Thank you very much for all the opinion, and Ms. Tedden, thank you so much. All I would say is that evolution is slow. You know, the changes in societies don't happen overnight. They take time. They take even generations. You know, we in the United States, the females started to vote more recently, in the earlier 20th century. So things will change, but you have to keep at it. You have to keep educating the female gender, and you have to have a good home. Broken homes, of course, have a problem because they don't have the mentors they should have otherwise. So every household is different. But if you have a society that's generally moving in the right direction, then people follow. So I think it's a community-based, family-based effort to help the female gender get to where we all want her to get to. And I agree that, you know, I'm not living in a fool's paradise. It's the male-dominated world. If it's not in the West, the East, it is definitely male-dominated. But the dominance can be changed by the family structure, the family behavior, the education, the economy. And so I think it's a work in progress, and it has to involve both males and females, like Ms. Tandon said, that it has to be a mutual thing, and they should go in the same direction together.
Thank you so much, Dr. Moin Masood, and I would like to thank both of our guest speakers, Mr. MPP Sheriff Sabbai, his valuable time, and thank you so much. You're always there whenever we ask you to talk about some important issue. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And Dr. Moin Masood, your valuable time and your opinion, and our Lily Tedden, President of WFWP, and our International Council of Arts President, Mr. Shoaib Nasir. By saying this, as we have kind of discussed, we will call you again for the next point. But as I liked Lily's comment about interdependence, I guess that is definitely the key word for a better life. because when we say women empowerment, it does not mean that women are more empowered than men. And when we say that, I mean, human rights or equal rights, it doesn't say that equal rights for, we understand the strengths, we understand the weaknesses. So the best way is to interdepending is sharing burdens, complementing each other. And that's how we can be able to have a kind of heaven on earth, not to wait that when we will die and go in heaven or something. We don't need to wait for that. So we can make our world or our home heaven by sharing. So thank you so much, and for your time and everything, and have a good evening. Good night. Thank you so much. All the best. And who wants to stay can stay, because we are just getting off from the line, and we will be here for